Help Alex, my pull-ups aren't improving during my bulk. How do I overcome this plateau? Listen, if your pull-up numbers are the same while you're gaining weight, it means your back is getting stronger. See, it's wrong to focus only on how many plates are hanging off your waist. Unlike weighted dips, fat gain does not improve your leverages, and the same goes for having massive legs. Both don't help with intramuscular pulling, stability, or reduced swinging. It's actually a negative for pound performance. So what truly matters is the total vertical pulling weight. That's why middle to heavyweights who do pull-ups with at least 2 plates always have big backs. Meanwhile, those weighing 145 and shredded and not training legs can often do 3 plates or more yet still look small. And interestingly, their total weight typically does not meet my 300 pound standard. Ideally, if you can do 5 reps with a total of 300 pounds, you'll build the majority of your lat gains. So a 200 pounder doing 100 pound pull-ups is a beast, and on the same level as a 165 pounder doing 135 for reps. That's 3 plates, by the way. So don't be fooled by relative strength, and don't get discouraged by lightweight specialists, because chances are you mog them if your total pull-up is higher. And in this way, it's entirely possible to acquire new PRs that can actually net 5 pounds of muscle on your frame while not changing the number of plates hanging off your waist. Take Bald Omni-Man as a perfect example. He recently did a 4-plate weighted chin-up at 205 pounds, totaling 385. A year and a half ago, his best was also 4 plates, but at 170 body weight. So doing the math, he actually added a whole damn plate to his 1 rep max. Which means if he were still lighter, he'd be hitting 5 plates, which is world class. And it's no surprise that his back is significantly wider and bigger than previous years. So it's false to state that his pull-ups maintained in strength when he's obviously heavier and bigger. And this is my key message. You can make next level gains in your weighted pull-up without adding a single pound for months or potentially years. Yet your back can completely transform, all because you maintain the original number. So the only requirement is maintenance of total load, not regression. This applies to heavy weighted pull-ups and high rep AMRAP sets. So if you bulk for 4 months and gain 20 pounds, then check your logbook only to discover you're still hitting a plate for 10, congratulations! Don't ask me on how to overcome your so-called plateau because you don't have one. The increase in body weight matches perfectly with your current pull-up strength because, as I just mentioned, gaining fat doesn't help at all. So in this case, you've effectively added about 5 pounds per month to your weighted pull-ups, which is amazing auto-regulated progress. And of course, the reversal also holds true. So if you're doing 100 for 5 at 200 pounds, then lose 20 pounds, you should be able to instantly hit 120 pounds, assuming you maintained your muscle on the way down. If you can't, or you're still lifting 100, it suggests your diet was off and that your back has gotten weaker, even though you may appear stronger with more plates. But the total load is what's relevant here, and it's the only reliable metric for long-term tracking. Another example, my previous best weighted chin-up was 4 plates at 150 pounds, aka 330. This year, I did 185 at 175 body weight, totaling 360. So the external load is only 5 pounds more, yet the total PR is 30 pounds more. There's a big difference between those two values, and logically, a 5 pound increase would not result in much aesthetic differences, yet my back is inches thicker and wider. So this begs a question. Did I barely maintain my strength at weighted pull-ups for over a year? Should I be mad that I'm lifting similar loads as before when my back is the best it's ever been at this body weight? And the strongest period? Of course not. Even consider the leanness factor and other developed muscles affecting total body weight. This could allow you to maintain load yet still achieve new PRs. That's why we must analyze progression trends, especially as we bulk and cut, to see how the various numbers scale. There should be a 1-to-1 linear correlation as body weight goes up or down. This is not hopium, it's reality. Like you can't say a 1 times body weight pull-up at 150 pounds is stronger than a 200 pound guy doing 75% of his body weight for a 1 rep max. Because the suspended weight is the same and the lighter guy has better relative strength, yet the total weight is higher with the heavier guy. So he still beats the lightweight on both metrics. That's why pound for pound strength in isolation does not paint the entire story. And you don't need to do a 1 times bodyweight pull-up in order to be considered elite. And I would even apply this to heavier athletes. If a 300 pounder can do bodyweight pull-ups, that's as impressive as anyone achieving the same total load with weighted calisthenics. And if a 350 to 400 pound man can do bodyweight pull-ups, that's competition level. Just look at Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall. None of us are close to their level of back development. We're talking world-class strongmen on PEDs, deadlifting over 1,000 pounds, yet they struggle to do 5 to 10 reps without weight. To put this in perspective, even my best 1 rep max is not as badass as them doing normal bodyweight pull-ups, even if their form is not the cleanest. So you have to respect that strength is strength. And I stand firmly by the concept of total numbers being most important, to the extent that I even base my percentage work off it. Take the classic 3 sets of 10 at 70% method. I used it when getting my original 4-plate pull-up, but it was not calculated off the plates alone. It included my body weight. So let's say you do 70% of 180. That's 125 for multiple sets of 10. Whereas 70% of 330 is 230. So 230 minus 150 body weight equals 80 pounds. That's a lot more reasonable to me since there's reps in reserve. 125 times 10 is an AMRAP lifetime PR that I've yet to hit. So how the f is 70% supposed to be accurate? Even now, 70% of 360 would be 140. Which I can barely do for 6 reps. So how am I supposed to do 4 more reps for 2 extra sets? You can't. And the same applies to you even without lifting these big numbers. So if you're not that strong on weighted pull-ups, 70% with less plates can literally equate to impossible numbers. For example, 70% of 45 pounds is about 32 pounds. Find me one person who can do 10 reps with 32 pounds with 2 or more reps in reserve, who also has a 45 pound 1 rep max. You won't find it because the numbers don't add up. This is why weighted pull-up strength must be assessed by body weight plus external load. So if you're a big boy, let's say 250, hitting 50 pound pull-ups for reps, you're as good as any calisthenics pro. This is backed by provable percentages and logic, not wishful thinking. So if I'm matching my former rep PRs while being 15 to 20 pounds heavier, that surely constitutes progress. How could it not? It's the only conclusion that makes sense. Otherwise, you'd be suggesting that your pull-ups got weaker, yet your back exploded in size. That's not possible unless your initial form was flawed, like doing partial reps or being much faster and jerkier. That's why it's worth filming your PRs, to compare and see the truth for what it is. Like if I'm doing 10 RP style pull-ups with a controlled eccentric and dead hang, 90 for 10 is more impressive than my explosive 90 for 14 PR without a dead hang. It might not be as brag-worthy on paper, especially without the visual side-by-sides, but deep down, you know what you're prouder of. Another aspect could be grip width. Maybe you mashed your PR with a wider grip, which you didn't even realize, and that happens to be harder. Therefore, you're stronger. So you see why without standardized technique, PRs come in different forms. They're not created equally. Plus, your physique will evolve with time. So by default, as I mentioned earlier, you will be heavier yet leaner. And there will be years where you think you're not improving on pull-ups, yet by total measurable standards, you are absolutely making progress. And even if it's small, which it most likely will be, know that after a certain point, 5 to 20 pounds added here and there is a massive improvement for weighted pull-ups. If you're seeing that, then you've already won the game. And just to emphasize one last time, my only assessment check mark is whether you are maintaining your pull-up numbers while gaining weight. That's it. And the weight gain can even include daily fluctuations. If you train in the morning and are bloated from last night's cheat meal, yet match your previous workout's repetitions, then that's a PR. Write it down and keep moving forward. You're exactly where you need to be. Nothing needs to be changed. You don't have to rotate the pull-up grip, and you probably don't need to change your program. Only do this if the total number is regressing. So I hope I'm clear, and I hope you realize that you've been making progress all along. How funny to have thought otherwise.